dawn spread across the horizon on this morning, as the shadows of dark night rolled away to reveal a new day, as the earth began to stir and the birds began to sing, the rules were changed. Life would never be the same again. She stood outside the tomb, weeping. The man, the Lord, and friends she had loved more than life itself had been taken from her twice. First by a cross, and now it seemed by grave robbers. A cruel joke to take him away before she even had the chance to properly say goodbye. But in a moment, words she could not imagine would come to her. Mary, why are you weeping? In a moment, the rules changed, and life would never be the same again. As we sit here in the glory of these surroundings, singing powerful songs, it's easy to rejoice. It's easy to believe. But for some, it might not be. And for some of us, it might not always be easy either. It can be a lot to swallow when you walk away from the glory of this morning, from the strength of this fellowship, that the Lord would do things this way, that anyone could walk off of a cross and back into our lives. But even when we have doubt, even when we feel our faith start to slip away, this is a morning of incredible good news. For our Lord is the Lord who works with mustard seeds. A mustard seed is so small, you can easily hold 100 in your hand. If you dropped it on a carpet, you probably would never find it. And yet, a mustard seed is powerful stuff. It not only produces a plant that's famous, it's a plant that inspires fear in farmers, because if mustard gets into your field, you're almost going to have to get the herbicide out just to get rid of it. Our Lord is the Lord who works with mustard seeds, and He is here to tell us today that even if that's all the faith we have, even if all the faith we have left is that tiny seed of faith that we were given in baptism, even if we look at an empty tomb and can only respond with a lukewarm, maybe, God can work with that. God can work. The one who created tiny solar systems called molecules and threw them together in perfect harmony, creating planets and stars, oceans and fields, fish, creatures of the field, birds, you and me can work with that. God can take our faith, no matter how small it might seem, no matter how insignificant it might seem, and make it grow. All we gotta do is stand outside this tomb with Mary, hold her hand, and say, God, please. And while the change will not be immediate, it will happen. If we trust God to give us greater faith, if we live out the gospel of Christ, feeding and healing and comforting and living with compassion for this world, if we trust God to give us the strength to do these things, that strength will be there. And we will see Jesus standing resurrected in our lives, even when the bells are not ringing and the songs are not being sung. But maybe there's another problem. Maybe your faith today can see the resurrection, but there's another problem. Because sometimes it's easier to believe that Jesus walked out of the tomb and up to heaven with God, and that a better life with God awaits us there, than it is to believe that this resurrection can mean anything for us, can change our lives now, here today. I think we all fall victim to this on occasion. We go through life and we start to think, oh, it all depends on me. You got to do everything. You got to make it perfect. You got to keep control at work and at school and in the home. You even got to try to control other people's perceptions of you if that's even possible. But again, our Lord is the Lord who works with mustard seeds. You know, it's easy to say, let go and let God when it's a bumper sticker. Put it on the back of the car and just stays back there. It's a whole lot different to say, I'm actually going to live like that. I am going to trust this Jesus to make a difference in my life. It's a whole lot different to say that Jesus not only walked out of the tomb, but has walked into our lives and shares our burdens. But if you come to God with that tiny mustard seed of faith, God will work with that. If you come to Christ and say, teach me, let me have your yoke, let me lean on you, God can work with that. The change won't be immediate, but if you start to come to God with your problems in prayer, if you start to say, Lord, I've done the best I can, please help me with the rest. If you start to say, thy will be done, the change will happen. And you will start to see Jesus resurrected in your life, sharing your joys, sharing your burdens, and sharing the life that one day we will know in completeness with God. Our God has changed the rules. Our God makes the rules. And what this means is this: if all we can do in this life is reach up to God, like an infant reaches to be lifted up, our God, our parent, will lift us up. All it takes is that mustard seed. Christ is alive. The tomb is empty. The promise has been given and the invitation is before us. Let that tiny mustard seed of faith that God has given you grow in your life. Give yourself completely to Christ. Give yourself, mind, body, and soul, and I promise, together we will see the truth. Together we will see that life will never be the same.